So, it would appear that my last recording created quite a stir. I suspected it might. You see, I am constantly doing polls or surveys, if you will. I almost never ask questions directly, but in the course of my days I meet and talk to a lot of people. I have conversations with many of these people and I deduct from these conversations where they stand on certain matters. Take the subject of rolling up your sleeve to accept the poison shot. I will never ask anyone directly if they have consented or not, but I try to steer the conversations in that direction when possible. I nearly always get an answer whether they know they have given it to me or not. My last recording, or more accurately, the rebroadcast of a talk given by controversial Neil de Beer, was no different. By making that post on my channel, I was able to confirm something I've actually known all along but needed confirmation of. My post confirmed to me that there are still a huge amount of people who, even though they might like to call themselves conservatives, still often think like a liberal. You are probably wondering what the hell I am talking about, right? Well, what is one of the most leftist behaviors among the younger generation today? Cancel culture. This is Wikipedia's definition of cancel culture, and I quote, "Cancel culture or call-out culture is a phrase contemporary to the late 2010s and early 2020s, used to refer to a form of ostracism in which someone is thrust out of social or professional circles, whether it be online, on social media, or in person. Those subject to this ostracism are said to be cancelled. The expression cancel culture has mostly negative connotations and is used in debates on free speech and censorship." End quote. Well, there were so many people in the comments section displaying this leftist liberal approach, and they were not even aware of it. Although I told you not to consider who said it, but what was said. Who can fault what Neil said about the treatment our elderly receive, or how the disabled are treated? How could anyone say that what he said about farm murders or the Commandos is nonsense? The truth is, if Mr. Groenewald had stood up in Parliament and said something similar, these same people would be singing his praises and sharing it on Facebook, etc. You know it's true. Now, for the record, as I said, I am not a fan of Neil de Beer or his political party. He is a politician even though he says he is not one, and I am sure he is just saying what his followers want to hear. It's called politics. I have to ask those people who flat out refuse to listen to Neil's talk. If this is your attitude towards everyone that you disagree with or whose opinions differ from yours, how do you even know what is going on around you? Here's a sobering thought for you. I am willing to bet that during the lockdowns, when alcohol and cigarettes were banned, at least 90% of the same cancel culture practitioners listened to the Chief Clown Ramaphosa's family meetings every time he gave one, just to hear when they would once again be able to buy alcohol and cigarettes, because what they were paying around the corner was daylight robbery. Am I right? Or am I right? Why did you hang on to every word of someone you know is a liar and a criminal? Just because I listen to Neil's talks does not mean that I am either a fan of his or trying to promote him or his political party. I'm not a member of Zuidlanders, but as far as I'm concerned, they have probably the best intelligence gathering machine than any other organization, period. For that reason, I watch Colonel du Toit's talks as often as I can. I also watch Simon Roche's talks. Yes, I do know his history. That doesn't change the facts he shares. I just like to have a balanced approach to decision making. As a matter of fact, I can't remember even watching one of Cyril's family meetings myself. I waited for the summarized version on some of my security groups. There was always someone who sat and wrote everything down and typed out a summary. I couldn't bear the thought of actually listening to his voice, but I did want to know what he said because it affected all of us, and I based some of my recordings on his talks. But let us talk about what Neil actually said. Before I do that, let me first say again that I am pretty certain that Neil, as a politician and being very good at what he does, was telling his audience exactly what they wanted to hear. That does not detract from the relevance and importance of the topics he covered. Who of us wouldn't want these topics to receive more attention? One of these topics that I would like to talk a bit about is the farm attacks and murders taking place right now. Many of you would have noticed a massive surge in farm attacks and murders since the findings of the courts that the song "Kill the Farmer, Kill the Boer" was declared not to be hate speech. Neil is, in my opinion, 100% correct when he says that song is nothing but hate speech, and nobody will convince me otherwise. The sudden surge in farm attacks and murders confirms this. I agree that AfriForum now has a duty to follow through with their case against the EFF even if it bankrupts them in the process. Right is right, and if money is the final deciding factor, there will never be any justice here. The main reason I got involved with the civil defense organizations in the first place was to do my part in defending our farmers, and Neil's call for the reintroduction of the commando system is something I think is absolutely vital, but not in the form they used to be. I would like to see a commando system that operates more on the lines of the old Koevoet units in the operational area during the Bush War. Koevoet were extremely effective at follow-up operations. I will never forget, during 1987 when we were attacked in our camp one night at must have been around 11 p.m. The next morning, long before the sun rose, a Koevoet team had arrived. They picked up the spoor as soon as it was light enough and disappeared into the bush. Whether they actually caught up with the Swapo terrorists or not, I have no idea, but based on their reputation, I would bet they did. On many occasions, while we were busy sweeping certain roads or bush spoor for mines, we would sometimes see the Koevoet units coming out of the bush with bodies strapped over the mudguards of their Caspers. They were essentially hunting units and were very good at it. This is the style of units I would like to see formed. Reaction and follow-up units that would literally hunt down these savages and exterminate them like the rabid dogs they are. Back then we were in a war situation. Today our situation is as close to a war situation as a domestic situation can get, without full-scale open war taking place. Nonetheless, I would say that we are at war, even if most are too asleep to realize it. Naturally, anything like this would never exist under the current regime. But anything is possible, I believe. The situation in South Africa could change overnight, and we could be forced into something like that. Who knows? At least there are still plenty of us who still remember how to run operations like that. Just to clarify, I was never a Koevoet member, but I did spend time with them in Angola now and then when they had information of buried arms caches and needed us to find it with our metal detectors. Taking prisoners was something they very seldom did. Something to think about, I guess. In the next recording, I am going to discuss something with you that is more urgent, more sinister, and more of a threat to all of us than anything else up to now. That will have to wait until next time, though. Please like and share this on as many other platforms as possible. It's the only way that my message gets out there. If you, by some fluke, have not subscribed to my channel yet, I have to ask why not. You have absolutely nothing to lose. Hit the subscribe button right now. If you would like to make a contribution to the channel, in the description I have provided a way for local as well as international listeners to make a contribution. If you would like to make a crypto contribution, also in the description field I have provided a Bitcoin as well as an Ethereum wallet address. If you would like to contribute any other cryptos, simply shoot me an email to the address also provided in the description, and I will reply with a relevant wallet address. To those generous people who have made a contribution, I say a huge thank you. Without you, these recordings would not be possible. Until next time, be safe out there.